I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Aloha from Maui. When I was a child, I had a reoccurring dream that a monster would come out from under my bed in the middle of the night, and it would chase me around my room, and I would be so exhausted that I would wake up from this dream, and I'd be hot and sweaty and perspiring, and my heart was beating fast, and I'd have a hard time going back to sleep. So I told my mom about this, and she said, Blaine, the next time you have that dream, in the dream, stop and turn around and face that monster and say, stop, I see you, leave me alone. So a couple nights later, certainly I had the dream again. And in the dream, I was able to remember what my mom said, and I turned around and I faced the monster and I said, stop, I see you, leave me alone. And then I looked down at the monster's feet, and the monster had on pink bunny shoes. And so I started to laugh, and the monster laughed, and boom, it was gone, and it never came back. That's a true story. Years later, in a meditation, it came to me that what that dream represented was that all of my fears were monsters in bunny shoes, and that I could befriend them, and by befriending them, they would dissipate and go away. You know, that dream represents befriending my fear rather than being dominated by it and influenced by it and intimidated by it. You know, when we really open ourselves up to accepting our fears, we open ourselves to expanding and growing in consciousness. I think that I can safely say that one of the most powerful ways that we can become enlightened or powerful spiritual beings is by facing our fears. And it's interesting because we're not taught to do that. You know, there's nowhere in our upbringing, in our upgrowing, are we taught to face our fears. We're taught to run away from them or stay away from them or don't look at them or don't face them. We really want to focus on things that are pleasant as opposed to things that are unpleasant. And I even think in the New Thought community, oftentimes we think if we focus on something bad that it's going to expand. And I like to call that a metaphysical malpractice, because the truth of it is sometimes we need to look at the things that scare us so we can transcend them and transform them. You know, fear is generally thought to be painful and something that we should try and avoid. And under normal circumstances, fear is not a bad thing. It's a protective device that keeps us from stepping into a lion's den often. But on the other hand, sometimes fear can keep us from experiencing our highest self. It can keep us from, getting into our heart. Lots of times fear causes us to fight or to freeze or to flee, right? It's almost like, and maybe you've experienced it, that fear can cause us to get into that reptilian part of our brain, right? That part of our brain that only is focused on survival, right? And when we're in that place, we're not in touch with our higher self, with our spirit, with our heart, because we've blocked that availability to really delve into our higher consciousness. Fear causes our bodies to become tense. It causes hormones to run through our body that make us tense and like ready to move, ready to jump, ready to fight, ready to flee. And I think that most people aren't aware how much fear influences our daily lives. And as such, if you can just think that it keeps us from being in touch with our higher self. So imagine how that can affect me in our lives, because it keeps us from accessing that truth and then acting upon our highest self. There's numerous ways to deal with fear. And I think that our unity principles are really based upon this idea that when we are afraid, we don't have access to our higher selves. And so that being the case, we're not able to experience the fullness of our beingness, right? And so unity teaches two really basic concepts that help us to deal with our fears. And those are denials and affirmations. And a denial is a statement that declares that something is not true, right? It doesn't declare that the fear isn't what we are experiencing, but a denial can say to that fear, that this fear has no power over me. And when we declare that, there's such amazing power there. If I were to say, to this monster, the fear that I feel as a result of you has no power over me. It's like, wow. And as soon as we say that, it's like that thought is released from our mind. And then we can also follow a denial with an affirmation, which would be a statement to be an affirmative truth, to say perhaps, I am strong, I am powerful, I am at ease in my life right now, and I feel great. And it's like we've built a new concept into our understanding. And there's a third one I would like to introduce today, and that is that we can help to rid ourselves of our fears by befriending them, by changing our relationship with them, by actually looking at them, by experiencing. And I think that this is really exemplified in the first Buddhist story that I ever heard. And it's about a group of samurai who are going through the village, and they're just terrorizing it. And they're hurting people, and they're killing people, and they're destroying property. And the rumor gets to this monastery that these samurai are coming. And all of the monks leave except for the head monk. And the head monk sits out in front of the monastery, like meditating and holding this powerful position. And the samurai come to this leader, to this abbot, and one of the samurai says to him, "Don't you know who I am? I can run you through with this sword without blinking an eye." And the Zen master looks towards the samurai and he says, "And I, sir, I am the kind of man that can be run through with a sword without blinking an eye." And when I first heard this story, I thought, wow, this Zen master doesn't have a very good understanding or feeling for life and death. He doesn't value them. But the more that I look at the story, I begin to see that this is really a lesson in suffering and being able to not let the current situation distract and to get into this place of fear so that we suffer. It's really about, in the difficult situations in our life, can we be in a place where we just say, this is what's happening right now? Suffering is wanting a different outcome, wanting a different reality than what is happening right now. I think it's so amazing that even in the face of death, this Zen master was able to say, I imagine he's thinking, what are my alternatives here? If I can either fight or I'm going to die. Neither one of them are going to be very good situations. So I'm just going to be peaceful and in the moment. It makes me think about somebody at Unity who died a couple of years ago of cancer, and I got to see her the last day that she was on the planet, and I went to talk to her and I said, how are you doing? And she says, I'm doing okay, because I realize that the cancer is going to take my life and that I'm going to go. And so I've let go, and I'm not fighting with what is. And it's such a powerful lesson. If we can just, learn the difference between suffering and pain. We know that pain is certain, but suffering is optional. And it really seems to me that the root of all suffering is attachment. It's being attached to wanting something different than what is. As soon as we want something different than what is, that's when we suffer. And I like to think of a mathematical formula for you mathematically minded people, and that is that fear plus resistance equals suffering. So when we're afraid and we resist what is, then that's when we suffer. The Zen master could let go of that tension. And when we can let go of the tension in the moment and just relax into what is, this is what it is right now. And if we can just take a breath and breathe into that and let, just be there in the moment to experience whatever is present. There's a part of this is about befriending our fear. And our befriending our fear comes from a place of benevolence and goodwill, of being able to turn to whatever we are experiencing and to be able to have compassion. Have compassion for ourselves, have some compassion for the fear that we're feeling, rather than fighting what is embracing us, just to relax and to have compassion. Fear plus compassion equals freedom. I'd like to share another story with you. It's about Mashi. Mashi is a Tibetan yogini, who's a woman who practices yoga. And Mashi would frequently meditate by this pond. It's a beautiful place, and on the pond was an outstanding tree. It was absolutely gorgeous. And nobody else in the whole town would even look at this island, because when you looked at this island, or when Mashi would meditate, there would be demons that would appear from this island. And so nobody wanted to face those demons. But Mashi went and she meditated at the edge of this pond, and these demons would come up and appear to her. But instead of fighting them, she let herself turn into a pool of love. And she let this love feed these demons. And as a result, these demons shifted and they changed, and they became her helpers, and they became her strength instead of being demons that she fought up against. The Greek word, or the Greek origin of the word demon is daimon, which is spelled D-A-I-M-O-N, which really represents guiding spirit. So what happened for Mashi, when she fed love to these demons turned into daimons, or into guiding spirits to help her and to give her strength. So this story reminds us that if we fully welcome, if we fully befriend or smile at our fears, we're no longer caught in a struggle with them. We are no longer fighting what is. Welcoming our fears doesn't mean that we resign ourselves to them or we give up to them. The truth is, what we are giving up is the choice to continue to struggle or not. So we're giving up the desire to struggle, because fear plus resistance equals suffering. In the story, Mashi turns herself into the nectar of love and feeds herself to the demons. Paradoxically, feeding our demons does not strengthen them, but rather it allows the energy that has been locked up in them to become accessible. In this way, these highly charged emotions that have been bottled up in inner conflict are released and become something beneficial. In feeding our demons, we're not rendering them harmless or helpless, but we are, by addressing them and instead of running away from them, nurturing the shadow parts of ourselves, so that the energy that's caught up in the struggle transforms into a protective force. Isn't that amazing? Because all this energy that we have of resistance and fighting, all of a sudden it dissipates and transforms into an inner strength, into a spiritual strength that we can use powerfully to transform our lives. Mashi, by feeding her demons, turned them from demons into diamonds. When we embrace and smile at our fears, they become our protectors. I love that. Our deepest fears are like the dragons guarding our deepest treasures. Think about that. Our deepest fears are like dragons guarding our deepest treasure. Wow. So the next time you're feeling fearful, recognize the fear, turn towards your fear with compassion, be curious about your fear, and to even ask it, why are you here? What are you here to show me? Accept the fear and realize that it's here to tell you a story. Befriend your fears, and they will transform into your protectors. In the story, the demons become Mashi's protectors. Mashi, by feeding the demons' love, turns demons into diamonds. When we befriend and smile at our fears, they become our deepest treasures. My fearful thoughts are my friends and messengers. I smile and stand in my strength. Affirm that with me. My fearful thoughts are my friends and messengers. I smile and stand in my strength. And so it is. Let's join together for a short time in meditation. Okay, let's take a moment and join together in meditation. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable. Take a deep breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. And let your awareness move from your head to your heart. And see if you can focus your attention in the space around your heart. Just being present, letting go. feeling the peace in this moment, feeling the energy of life that is the truth of who you are, feeling your spiritual essence, feeling the energy of life that is moving through your being, nurturing you, loving you, blessing you. And I invite you to observe through the vision of your heart, perhaps something that you are afraid of. Perhaps something in these challenging times regarding the coronavirus, regarding your work or your friends or your family. And just kind of observe this fearful thought. And to hold this thought with love. And I invite you to remember this thought later, and perhaps to take this journey down beside the pond, to explore it deeper at a later time. But for right now, let's just surround this thought, this feeling with love. And let's join together for a few moments in the silence. Just surrounding this thought, this feeling of fear with love. And let's do that now. My fearful thoughts are friends and messengers. I smile and stand in my strength. My fearful thoughts are my friends and messengers. I smile and stand in my strength. Breathing in and breathing out. And I invite you to begin to bring your awareness back to this moment right now that we share together. To open your eyes whenever you're ready. Namaste. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being the beautiful, perfect expression of the divine that you are. You are a blessing to the world. And I'm so grateful for you. And I invite you now to begin to hold in your mind or in your hands your contribution to Unity Church of Maui, your tithe or your love offering. And I invite you to think of the ways that this ministry has supported you and loved you and hopefully transformed you through the work that we do. And so as we hold our gifts, let's say our affirmation of prosperity together, which begins, through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Namaste. And if you would like to give to Unity Church of Maui, a couple ways you can do that. You can put your gift in an envelope and send it to Unity Church of Maui at 483 South High Street in Wailuku. And you can also go to our website, unityonmaui.org, and click on our donate button. And it's a very safe way to give. And thank you in advance for your gifts. I like to believe that as you give to us, you are a part of the work that we do. And I feel so blessed to be doing this work with you in this challenging time. And thank you for being the presence of God in everything that you think, say, and do. So I've got just a couple announcements today. My talk next week is titled Throwing Hot Coals with Bare Hands. And we'll look at how can we transform anger or feelings of anger into spiritual action. And how can we look for the beneficial ways to transform them so that they lift us up in consciousness to a higher level. And then we also send that level of consciousness out into the world. So please join us right here next week at the same time. And also, you might know, maybe you've heard, we had a phenomenal meeting this week with our spirit groups. You know, we're talking about dismantling racism, which is such an incredible topic right now. It's on everybody's minds. And this is really such a powerful time in our planet, on our planet, to be able to do this work and to make transformational changes within. You know, someone said that we all have some element of racism within us, even though it could be very minute and that we don't act on it, that we all have some beliefs that we can shift around racism. And I know that you know that as we work on ourselves, we influence the consciousness right here on Maui, in Hawaii, and in the world. This last week we watched an amazing video that Melody Hobson did. It was a TED Talk, actually, and it was titled Colorblind or Color Brave. And I highly encourage you to watch this video. It really is a beautiful video that helps us to look at what is color blindness. And a lot of people say, well, you know, I'm not colorblind. I don't see people as being different colors or being of color. So I think this video might give you some insight into a different perspective. So check it out. It's titled Colorblind or Color Brave by Melody Hobson. And as you know, I know what I was going to say, and so we still have room for more people in our Zoom call on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And if you'd like to be a part of that, give Emily a call at 808-268-8310, and she can share with you the link to Thursday night's meeting, and I will also put it in the newsletter this week as well. So please come. It's really fabulous work, and we'd love to have you be a part of it. And as you know, at 12 o'clock today, we have a Zoom meeting to talk about this talk, our spirit group work, and to really connect and share what's going on in our lives. So please join us for that. The links to this meeting are in our newsletter and on our website. And they're live links. All you have to do is click it and you'll go right to the meeting at 11 o'clock today. We meet also on Wednesday and do a daily word and meditation at 12 o'clock on Wednesday. And you can do the same thing by going to our website or our newsletter, clicking on the link and joining us. Great time on Wednesday to connect with people of like mind and to spend some time in meditation. And if you enjoy our videos, which I hope you do, I invite you to go to our Unity Church of Maui YouTube page, and you'll find more videos like this, as well as some great sharing by our musicians. And you can subscribe while you're there, so you'll be notified when we put new videos up. So I think that is about it for today. Thank you for being here. It's wonderful to share this work with you. I feel so blessed to be the minister at Unity Church on Maui. So why don't we join together and ending our time together today, as we always do, by praying together the prayer for protection, which begins, "The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is." So thank you for being with us. You are the light of the world. Be that light. We love you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. Thank you, God. And so it is. Mahalo and aloha.
Where I live, there are rain.